Okay.
All right.
I just wanted to wait because I didn't know what.
Because you don't know what Jenny's going to say. It's okay. I'm never appropriate, and that's okay with people. People don't mind. Boy, the Let's Make Art Facebook page, people come up with amazing things on there.
I know.
Right?
There's some people that paid stuff that I'm just like,
I know.
you need to come up here and teach me how to do that.
This is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll look through and they'll be like, well, I just tried this. This was my friend's dog. And I'm just like, I'm not happy with it. And I'm like, well, I'm real happy with it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I really like seeing what people come up with. It's so good.
Yeah, you've opened a whole new world to them. That's really
great.
Cool. Michael sent me home with a plant the other day, and it was in the cute little glass cups. And I said, well, don't give me this. Give me a plastic cup. I can take it home. He said, no, these are the old Let's Make Art cups. You know, we're not going to use them. And I'm like, well, you should have them. Because they're nicer than this, right?
Well, I started using plastic because we were using Al's glasses in his apartment.
And they stayed.
And he was getting so mad at me for not cleaning them. And I was like, sorry. And so to just avoid all of that, I just bought plastic cups.
It's a good plan. I'm a plastic glass myself. I like that. So are you guys out of brushes still?
No, we finally got the brushes back in stock.
The empty jars.
And I think we just haven't restocked our store yet, but I'm currently redesigning it. So
Oh, nice.
we gotta,
I want to make it good by the time people get in town.
yeah. So I'm taking this winter to like really tighten it up, you know, make it look really good.
No doubt it's going to be real tight.
So when everyone comes to see you, they can stop by us.
No
Yes.
kidding. I'm hoping. I still think you need a T-shirt that has me on it saying Jenny loves Let's Make Art. Bob Ross hair. Bob Ross hair. Don't you think the Bob Ross hair would be such
Anything
a
that
good?
related to
Yes.
Bob Ross gets me nervous now.
Well,
That's true.
No, because
That's
it's
true.
just how I combed it that day.
That's true. You can't claim that.
No,
it's-
they can't claim
They don't
it
have
as
a
my
trademark
hair.
on a perm.
I think that would be really funny.
Okay, yes, now we're live. We have people talking.
Awesome.
Tamara said she likes the website updates. Thank you,
Good.
Tamara.
Good.
So
Was that Brock?
No.
No.
if you go to our website now, you can preview the next month's box. So right now, since we're working on shipping out February, if you go to our website, you can see what's in March.
And it is beautiful. The March box is beautiful.
The March
so
box
let me
is-
just say, I've seen a couple of things for March, and that's the most excited I've been about painting.
Really?
I love iris.
Yes, the iris is so
The iris is
good.
beautiful. And then that green leafy thing that comes out the corner.
Yes.
So
Yes.
those look like the baby spirea that come out in the springtime.
Uh-huh.
All of those. I just pick stems of those and put them in my house just as flowers,
Yeah.
but not flowers. You know?
Yeah, just beautiful.
They're just beautiful, and that's what it looks like to me. And I said to Ron, I want to paint this. I want to paint this. You know, I love iris are my favorite. They're so short-lived, but
Yeah,
I
they're
love
beautiful
them.
and they're so fun to paint because they're so like fluttery, like really
Oh, yeah.
thin and wavy, and
Frilly.
they have those gorgeous like ruffles.
They do. That's actually a whole. I was going to say breed, but that's not the right word. It's a whole genre of iris.
Yeah.
You know, it's a type of iris.
Yes.
But if there's a word for it,
Species?
Species. Yes.
Oh
Okay.
my.
What's the
This is our postcard
Oh.
because we're gonna do the live for that on Friday.
That was my horse. Actually.
Oh my gosh, it's -21 where some people are.
No.
What is it here?
I think it was when I got into my car a couple hours ago. It was 11.
It was 10 when we were driving around. Yep. It's supposed to just get colder.
It's always a degree colder on this end of town than the south end.
Is that real?
Yeah, if you look
Is
at
that
the
real?
Hampton Bank and you drive across the stoplight to the bank northwest, it's a degree different. Always.
Must be the elevation change.
I think so. From the stoplight.
Yeah. From 4 feet to 6 feet.
Hi, Chloe. We have Kathy. We have Beth. We have Bridget. We have Barb.
My
Courtney
goodness.
Fish Shoes. Hi, Courtney. Danita. Welcome. Keenan, did you ever make that playlist of the 15-second songs?
No, I did not.
Okay, we have to make
didn't
that
know
because
that was a
how
real
funny
request.
would that be? every 15 seconds.
People would start to get anxious.
Yeah, maybe, but it's just for like a few minutes.
15.
Like you can play music that's shorter than 15 seconds?
Yeah, I think that copyright laws only count if it's longer than 15 seconds on a song.
Oh my gosh.
If it's less than 15 seconds, I think you can use it.
You're so sneaky.
I'm not sure if that's totally true, but I feel like it is.
I
If
feel
it's
like we
not
could just
true, we
sing.
will be informed.
I'm pretty sure we could all just sing. I mean, they could sing out there in Facebook land.
We can sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although one time I was singing and somebody's like, you should probably stick to painting. And I was like, you're not wrong.
No, but there's joy. You know,
I love singing. I'm not good at
People would
it.
always come and say, "Can I be in the word choir?" But I don't sing. And I said, "The Lord never asked you to sing. He asked you to make a joyful noise."
All the joyful
We
noises.
make all the joyful noises.
Oh my gosh. Oklahoma, Alaska, Ohio, New Hampshire,
Man, I bet
Virginia.
it's cold in Alaska.
Probably cold.
It's 63. in
All of
San
those
Diego.
places.
Mine is
Wow.
63.
And it's 63.
Amy says there's no school. So her 5-year-old gets to stay up and paint along. Welcome.
Yay.
They canceled school here tomorrow too.
Yeah, I actually.
So many snow days.
It's supposed to be really.
It's supposed to be so cold tomorrow.
Huh?
Well,
Those
here's the
buses
deal.
aren't very great either.
You just put on a sweater and go from heated room to heated room. I mean, nobody, you know, people are like, it's so cold. I'm like, you're not gonna break.
Well,
Just
that school's new, so they've got good heating and cooling. We pay taxes for
everybody
it.
just wants a day off.
They've had so many days off this month.
Yeah, they'll have a lot of snow days to make.
Yeah.
Painting keeps you warm.
It does.
Painting keeps you warm.
It's
Yeah.
supposed to be negative 55 here near
Oh
Chicago.
my gosh, negative 55?
Yeah.
Wow. All
Ugh.
right, well, that's a little cold. Maybe,
Maybe
you wanna
that's a
stay
little
home.
too. Maybe you don't want to go
Maybe you wanna
outside.
stay home. Yeah.
You have fun?
You taking off?
Yeah, I was going to meet with the Missouri person, but
Should I email Meg about that?
Probably
not
not.
right now.
It's too late.
They miss their chance.
We might just need to scooch a little then more to the center, because me and Jenny are way off center camera.
Or you can just put a paintbrush there, and that's for all the people out there painting.
This
with
is
us.
all of the people that are
represents
painting
all
with
of you.
us.
Just save
All
them
of
a
you,
seat.
just for you.
You can do whatever you want.
Oh, the post office is taking a day off tomorrow. Ooh, we're there. That is cold. Okay, bye, Brock. Bye.
It is
Bye,
a
Brock.
long
Is there
distance.
anybody here on from Nova Scotia? I just am wondering.
Nova
I'm going to be in
Scotia.
Nova Scotia this year.
That'll be awesome.
I'm going to be in England too, but I don't know if you have anybody in England either.
I don't know if we have people watching. I don't remember anyone watching from England.
I've seen one.
I feel like somebody's watched from Nova Scotia before.
Yeah, Nova Scotia is a big quilting area, and I'm sure they're good painters too. They have a lot of ocean to paint.
Yes, Susan, I miss the California weather so bad. So bad.
I don't miss it.
I miss it. It's just,
What I don't miss about it is that I decided, so when you move here, what you have is people who are, they're hot, it's summertime, and they're like, oh, I hate it, it's so hot, I wish it was cold. And then when it's cold, they say, oh, I hate it, it's so cold, I wish it was hot. And I never wanted to be one of those people. So I was always like, I'm gonna be happy right where I am, right at the temperature I'm gonna love the beautiful crystalline ice that's all over the driveway and the streets. I'm just gonna love it.
a good philosophy.
And so when I'm in California, what I love about being here is that you have actual seasons. You
Yes,
don't have that in California.
That's true. So even
And-
though it's freezing here, the spring here is so
It's so
beautiful.
worth it because
and
you-
the summer stays green.
and it stays green all summer.
We're in
Yeah.
California,
It's brown.
it's totally brown. Well, at least where the part where I was from.
Well, the part where I was from too, which you're from Southern.
Sacramento.
Sacramento. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm from the coast, but Monterey area, and it was always brown.
Yeah.
And we had a terrible droughts, and and it's and people like come to the ocean to see the ocean. And the Monterey Bay Ocean, like a San Francisco Ocean, you get like fog all day, 2 hours of sun, and then fog. You
Yeah.
know? And so it's not what when people think of the gorgeous ocean, they're not thinking of that area of California. And so I don't know. I just decided I'm going to be happy wherever I am.
I like it. I like all the weather as long as I'm inside, even when it's snowing and freezing.
Right. Well,
you
don't have to be outside.
should we scooch over, or are you just going to move the camera?
I was just going to move the camera.
Okay.
I already moved it.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Oh, did somebody, hello?
How's it going? Good.
Welcome.
Hey, you just missed Brock.
You did.
He was waiting to talk to you. You never came.
Well, we were trying to finish up the last little bit. They were doing a class over at the quilting thing.
Oh, okay. Well, we're already live.
Yes.
Come in and join us.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
It's 7:30.
Oh, it's 7:15, but you're totally fine. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. We're just gonna, we have you set up right here. And what's your name? I'm sorry.
Barb.
Barb. I'm so glad you were able to come paint with us.
Yeah. And I'm Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
So you can set up right here.
And you are?
Aaron.
Aaron. Okay.
Hello.
There's a place for you too, Aaron.
Is there really?
Yes.
Do you want to paint? You don't have to.
Planning on taking some photos.
Maybe you can do both. Maybe you can be like,
Can I?
sure.
Can I pull that off?
Yeah.
Up and down.
Yeah, I can adjust this so you're in the shot.
Okay, so I put your paints here, and then your brushes are right there on your paper towel. Here's your water cups, and we'll,
She'll tell you.
I'll tell you what to do as we go.
Okay, because
Okay.
I'm really bad.
No, we're not bad. We're just beginning.
Yes, we're all at different levels here. We have people that watch and paint live with us, and they can ask questions as they go, and we're all at different levels for our watercolor, so don't stress. A lot of people are beginners that are watching here, so.
It's too.
Okay, our sound's on, okay.
I'm just scooching in, making room.
What time are we at?
Uh-oh. Look at our gorgeous.
7:13.
7:13, okay, great.
Something happened.
Sorry that you came in and we're like, sit down and paint.
That's all the thing is,
No
filming
visiting,
and
just
talking.
Well, we thought it was just going to be her and I, and we were like so lonely.
We were. More the merrier, I say, when it comes to painting.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is what we're painting tonight. We're doing this rainbow unicorn. I don't know if you guys seen. So there's a little reference photo for you right there too that you can look at.
Great.
And you won't mind if it doesn't look anything like that, right?
I don't mind at all. We encourage it actually. We like people to make it their own.
Oh my gosh, people do amazing things with, you know, the beginnings that you
Yeah,
begin them with.
yeah. A lot of people have actually been using like metallic paints with the hair to give them like that glittery,
Oh my.
like gold shine and
Oh, yeah?
stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah.
It's
Are
been
they
fun to
13?
see.
No.
They just love glitter and gold. That is an ageless thing, Jenny.
Yeah. Well, when you said something about Lisa Frank the other day, there's a whole age group that loves that genre. I'm too old. I'm too old for it. It's like
That was definitely
Okay,
my
yeah.
kind of generation,
Yeah.
was the
Heidi
Lisa
loves
Frank
that.
folders
Yeah.
and it was just elementary
Karen
school.
loves that.
Trapper
Just-
keeper? Did you have a trapper keeper?
What's
Am
a
I the only one here that knows what a trapper keeper was?
Maybe.
What's a
Well,
trapper
no,
keeper?
I bought 'em for
So
my
it was a
kids.
right. Okay.
Yeah, they
so
have-
it was
they
a
have zippers.
folder,
Oh.
and they had like just a Velcro top.
Yeah,
And,
and
then it progressed. I mean, you probably buy Trapper Keepers today that are not Trapper Keeper brand.
they're
but-
just binder,
yeah.
but with
but
a
it,
cover.
But it would have
Oh, okay.
artwork and like it'd be a unicorn. And,
Cool.
We covered our books
I
with
didn't
brown
have one.
paper bags.
I remember that.
Grocery bags.
We did
from
that.
The grocery store.
We did that.
They hadn't actually made books when I was a child, but we covered what we had.
My clay tablet, my stylus.
That's right. Oh my gosh, Trapper Keepers were a funny thing though.
We're ready to go?
Too, Keenan.
Okay, we are ready to go. It's 7:15. Welcome everybody to Let's Make Art. We love to paint. We do a different watercolor project every single week. We break it down step by step so it doesn't matter where you are on your watercolor journey. You can follow along with us and hopefully just have a good time. That's the main thing. It's just having fun creating, taking the pressure off, and just kind of having fun with paint and water and paper. That's our goal. So today we are doing our rainbow unicorn. Everybody needs to ooh and ah at this. Maybe do a little singing like Keenan, please. Thank you, yes. This project is super fun and it just has 5 steps. So our 5 steps for this is we're gonna start with the shadows. I kind of have them outlined here. Then we're going to do the hair on the horse. Then we're going to do the horn. We're going to go back in and work a little bit more on the hair. And then we're going to go back in and finish up with shadows and like those finishing details. Last step, details.
Details.
Details always, right, Keenan? So with me, I have Jenny. She hasn't painted with me for a while, so I'm really excited to have her back on.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, you used to paint like almost every week, I feel.
Yeah, like at least a couple of times a month.
Yeah.
Well, and then I got super busy, and to be honest, I don't know if this has happened to any of you guys out there, but I have a box I haven't even opened yet.
Yes, that does happen to some
sorry.
people.
But this is going to get me back in because I love doing it.
I know there was actually some people were a little bit behind on our February shipments for our boxes, and some people are like, "Take your time." December's still unopened, and I'm just like, "That's okay, don't stress."
Well, December's so crazy, you know, and
the holidays.
Yeah, and there's, you know, on the Tuesday nights when you'd normally give this time to yourself, well, then there's somebody has a concert, you know, and so,
all those holidays.
There was a box that, sorry.
Yes, that's okay. I'm not
But
mad.
I can hardly wait for March.
Yes, March is going to be great.
Oh my gosh, March is going to be beautiful.
We have Barb here who's painting with us, and we have Aaron. Great, and so I'm really excited that they were able to come in and paint with us.
I don't know if
And
I'm
Aaron, there's a
excited
whole
or
feed
just-
going. There's a whole bunch of comments going about your trapper keeper.
About my trapper.
Yeah, everyone's like, I remember that. I had that.
Trapper keepers.
Trapper keeper that I had when I was 13.
And Aaron, you're just a little off.
Am I?
So if you want to
So do I
lean
need to
in
go
and do
this
a high,
way?
you
This
do it.
way.
I need to go
You
that
just
way.
slowly
Yeah.
reach your
I'll just-
hand in,
yes,
and we're going to say,
there
there's Aaron right there.
There you go.
Right here.
Yeah, you guys can scoot a little closer.
All right, we can come in.
Okay, great. We're just using 2 brushes today. We have a round 6 and a round 2. Most of you have that. Aaron, you have a couple. I give you a couple different sizes. You can just use whatever one you
Wow,
like.
he gets 3.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
you. That's what happens when you walk off the street and just show up.
And we are using 5 colors today. We're using black, deep blue, fuchsia, lemon yellow, and orchid, which essentially those are black, like a true blue, purple, pink, and yellow. And we're going to do some mixing, so that's why I put 2 different yellows, because we're going to use yellow and blue to mix green, and we're going to use yellow and pink to mix like our oranges for the rainbow. And don't worry, when we get to that point, I'll show you guys how to do all of that good stuff, so don't worry. So before we start with anything, we're gonna start with our outline, and then we'll say our oath. And I like doing the outline first. Now I already traced all of theirs because I just had this one outline printed. So I'm like, I'll draw theirs.
She likes us best.
So,
That's what you get for coming in.
yes. So for your outline, if you order the kit or subscription, it should be included right in there along with some graphite paper. If not, you can just print it off of our website. If you go to the unicorn kit, click on outline, you can print the outline totally for free, and you can use your own supplies. And then I tape it down to my watercolor paper using painter's tape, but you could also use washi tape or even like regular tape. Just kind of hit it off your clothes and let it pick up some fuzzy so it doesn't rip your paper when you rip it off.
Oh, I didn't know that trick.
Yeah, sometimes if I don't have painter's tape, I'll just use regular tape, but
You just put it on
I just
your-
put it on my jeans a few times
On
so
the
it's
cat.
not. Yeah, the cat, animals,
Dog.
random animals that you have around.
Just walking.
Okay, and then the graphite paper has 2 sides. There's a side that's light and there's a side that's dark. And you're gonna wanna put your graphite paper dark side down. And then whatever line you make with the graphite paper on there, it's gonna show up on your paper underneath. And this is just how we transfer images onto watercolor paper. It's what I use for my personal work. And just remember that the harder you press, the darker the line is going to be. Now with watercolor, you want the line to be as light as possible because watercolor is transparent. So you're gonna see the pencil lines through your paintings. So I like to kind of like do a test line and then lift up my paper and see how that looks. And if it looks too dark, then I just kind of lighten up my touch, and then it should be a softer line. So try and go as soft as you can. I'm gonna go a little bit darker just so you guys can see what it looks like a little bit better on camera, but on your own personal, try and make it as light as possible. And also, since it's graphite paper, you could take an eraser and maybe try and lighten up that pencil line when you're done with the outline. I do that a couple of times too. Now, with outlines, when we're painting and we're tracing something, sometimes we miss a line and we kind of stress out. But just remember that the outline is more just of a guideline. It's not like a coloring book where we want it to be chunky and we want different sections. We usually blend a lot of lines out. We try and make smooth transitions. So if you forget to draw a line, don't stress. It's not a big deal. Just kind of eyeball it. I'll probably forget. I might have forgotten lines on yours. Hopefully you'll be okay.
Is that why he doesn't have a left eye? No.
Okay, I'm like, oh my goodness, did I forget an entire eye on your...
Entire. We have somebody from Ireland watching.
Ooh.
That's not like Nova Scotia, but kind of, you know. Could be.
And when I do outlines, I usually do the outline so I know the shape, and then I also kind of do outlines of where we put shadow or where we put highlights. And it's just a reminder to me as I'm painting to be like, oh, that area should be a little bit shadowed. That area is going to be a highlight. So when you guys, I know that you guys have started using outlines in your own personal work, which is so fun to see. So that's kind of what I look for when I'm transferring over images.
One more. You're missing a third line.
Am I missing a third line? Thanks, Jenny. Okay. Somebody says, is there a secret to the eraser from your site? Do you rub it or roll to erase the lines? So the erasers we sell are rubber cement erasers, and those are really great because they just lift off the graphite instead of like compromising the integrity of a paper, because usually with regular erasers it just rubs the paper to where like little pieces of paper come off, but the rubber erasers shouldn't do that. And I kind of just keep it in a ball and kind of just rub it that way like a regular eraser, but it's kind of gummy, so you can just like
to the touch, or?
I do it hard.
Okay.
It just depends on how dark your line is, how much you want to erase. Okay, I think I'm about there. Oh,
The star. Oh.
did I get it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I'm good. Okay. Now, before we get started, I need everybody to raise their right hand. And I need you to repeat after me. And I want you to say, I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise not to compare my work.
I promise not to compare my work.
And I promise to have fun.
And I promise to have fun.
Thank you. And I love starting that way because sometimes when we're doing something new, especially when it comes to art, we're constantly comparing, saying, mine doesn't look like that, or this part looks bad. And that just takes the joy out of it. You know, you just want to have fun. And all of ours, you're going to see, are going to look totally different from each other, but that is okay. That's the fun part with
really
art.
is.
That's what we want to see. We want you to make it your own. So don't stress if yours looks a little bit different. That's the point.
Well, don't you think this is a little more about being brave and just trying
Yes,
than being perfect? And
that absolutely.
none of us have been painting for, 100 million years.
Well,
like you.
and sometimes I think that's the sad thing with art is we think that unless like you're supposed to be really good at it from the beginning. And so some people, if it doesn't come out perfectly the first time, they're like, oh, I just don't have that talent. When really art is just about practice. That's how it is with everything. If you just take the time to do it, you will get better. And so it's just like being brave and saying, it's okay that I'm not good at the beginning, and just sticking with it. So we're gonna start with some warm-ups to kind of get us used to watercolor, used to the brushes, all of that stuff. So grab a scrap piece of paper. There might be one, kind of right underneath there. You should have one underneath yours. And we're just going to we're gonna start with different values. So the value of the color is just the lightness and darkness of it. So if I were to look at my example, this black area, this is a dark value. And then like this shadowed area over here, maybe on the nose or underneath the neck, that's a lighter value. So we're gonna practice how to get those different values in watercolor. So pick up a brush. I would suggest using like the 6, like the bigger one. And I want you to dip in water. And then after you dip in water, you're gonna hit it off the side because you don't want your paintbrush totally dripping when you take it to your palette, because that's just too much water. You don't need that much water. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with my dark value first. So I'm gonna pick up, and you can do any color you want. These are warm-ups, so it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna just do black though. I'm gonna pick up my black, and I'm just gonna put that right on my paper. And this is my dark value. Yeah, you see how dark that is? Very nice. So then the next thing we're gonna do is we're just going to dip. We're not gonna pick up any more paint. We're gonna dip our brush a couple of times, hit it off the side again, and paint that. And that should hopefully be lighter. Now you just have a little bit too much water, so here's a paper towel, and you can actually, just, if you rinse your brush and there's too much water on it, you're not hitting up as much as you want, use your paper towel to kind of soak up that excess water. So then after you have your medium value, I want you to rinse your brush again and get a lighter value. Very nice. Yep. And then I'm going to try and do that one more time. I'm going to try and get 4 different values. Now this last one is probably going to be like a color that's barely there. And if you still have a lot of colors in yours, I want you to just keep on going until you have a barely there color. Yep. Because sometimes with watercolor, if you're used to painting with acrylic or oil, you're used to seeing like a lot of color. But the beautiful thing about watercolor is it's these really soft washes. We use these for layering. We use these to just give the hint of ideas. And so sometimes we think that this color is too light to use, but it's not. This is sometimes the color that we're looking for. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to keep referring back to this when we add our shadows onto our unicorn, because like if I'm looking, if this is my light value here, then this is a light. And then this is probably going to be a dark value. So I'm going to refer to this as we paint. So if you guys want to look at yours as you're painting or mine, then you kind of know which value I'm putting in for the shadows. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, great. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go over how to mix colors really quick. And we're just going to start with like the rainbow. So instead of red, we're using this gorgeous fuchsia color. So I'm going to put some fuchsia here. So here's my fuchsia. And then I got my fuchsia color on my paper. And now we're going to try and make kind of a more orange color. So I'm going to grab some yellow, put it to the center of my tray. Now, if you have these palettes, I always like to put my colors along the edges and then use the middle to mix. And when we're mixing colors, especially with yellow, I like to do different piles because yellow, it's really easy to contaminate that color. So I kind of like to separate it out. But I put a lot of paint on here, that's why it's mixing together. So just kind of keep an eye on it. And if you have to do like new clean piles of yellow, don't stress. I got to do that too sometimes. So for my orange, I'm going to grab some yellow. I'm going to grab a little bit of this fuchsia and I'm going to mix that with my yellow. And it's going to turn this beautiful orange color.
It's a little muddy, but
It's looking good. It's looking good. And then now I'm going to do just the pure yellow. Like that. Very nice. Rinse your brush again, and we're going to mix the yellow and the blue to make a green. Now this, we're going over a little bit mixing colors and primary colors. So primary colors are red, yellow, and blue, and with those 3 colors you can mix all of the other colors. So that's why we're using so much of that yellow, because you mix it to, you use it to mix both orange and green. Okay, now you're just going to use straight blue.
I feel like you should have served Skittles tonight.
I feel like you're right.
Got some cravings down there.
And then you can mix purple using the blue and the pink, but we actually included some orchid, which I don't know, did I put that out? I might have not put it on our palette. Sorry guys. I'll put some right here. So we have some purple in this kit, so you can use that or you can mix your own, totally up to you.
That is a beautiful purple.
Isn't it such a good purple?
like, hello, heading for our yellow.
It is heading for that yellow. Sorry, I should have spread it out more.
I like that yellow.
Okay. And then as we go, like when we get to the blue and the purple, we're gonna mix our blue and our purple a little bit together, and you're gonna get different colors in between. And we'll do that as we go, but I just want you guys to get just kind of an understanding of how we're mixing our colors for that rainbow hair. Now, the very last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna practice thin lines with our paintbrush. So, I want you to switch to your round 2, which is our smaller paintbrush. And I just want you to practice getting thin lines here. So we're using rounds, and the great thing about a round is you can press hard and get a thick line, or you can kind of have a more vertical hold where your paintbrush is totally up and down and get a really thin line. That's the wonderful thing about rounds. You can do both in the same brush stroke, just depending on pressure. But if you know you want your line to be thin, it's kind of easier to use a smaller brush. So you're gonna get it wet and you're gonna hit it off the side a couple of times. Same with you're gonna do that every time you pick up watercolor pretty much. And then I want you to grab some paint. And then I want you to just practice trying to get really thin lines. So try and have your brush more straight up and down, and it's gonna be just really soft, light pressure. You might sometimes have skips because you're barely touching that paintbrush to the paper, and that is not a big deal. That happens to me all the time. I never let it bother me because nobody even notices. Very nice, very nice. Yes. And I like to keep my wrist up, or even if it's on the table, not have pressure on it. Because if I plant my wrist and I try and do a thin line, I'm limited in how long it can be. And it's probably gonna curve, right? Because that's the joint of our wrist moving. So if I keep my arm kind of up where it's moving from my shoulder, then I can go as long as I need to go. Now, we're kind of just using these thin lines when we're doing the detail for our hair, so we don't have to go too long, but that's just something to keep in mind. Okay. I think that's it. I think we're ready to get started on our unicorn. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Well, ready or not, we are doing it. So, you can keep your scratch paper near you if you would like.
I do have a question on YouTube.
Yes. Yes, question. Question away.
Question 1. What if the color runs out and your brush gets dry right when you get a good color value?
What if your color runs out and your brush gets dry? Is that what it's asking?
They don't want to change the value. They don't want to lose that bright value.
The brush gets dry right when you get a good color value.
You would just have to mix more colors because, yeah, so you guys, I don't see you guys run into this, but sometimes when you're painting and you don't have enough water on your brush, you'll get like these kind of streaky lines right here. That just means you need a little bit more water on your brush. But if you're afraid to mess with the value, you kind of just have to mix it until you get that value back. And I'm sorry, that's really the only thing I can think of. Okay.
Okay.
But that was a great question.
That was a good question.
Thank you.
I've seen Bob Ross use that technique though on his mountains.
The rough brush one?
Yes.
How do you feel about the Bob Ross movie or show that we told you to watch?
I didn't watch a movie. I watched his show.
I meant the
several
show.
Episodes.
Yeah.
Because the way he does mountains is magical.
Isn't it?
It kind of blows my mind.
I know.
Brock was always saying, he's like, you'll literally think you can do this.
Yeah.
Because the way he does it, that's a nice
And that's why I always love mountains, because a lot of times it's just making the shape and then taking like a rough like palette knife and just going and that's it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my
It's
God.
beautiful. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It goes back
It's
to what you were
crazy.
saying earlier, though, is happy little accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yep. It's just these little accidents where you're getting great texture, all that fun stuff. Okay. I'm so happy you watched Bob Ross.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're going to start on our unicorn. So we're going to start by putting down our shadows first on our unicorn, because this is a white horse. And I know that with watercolor, you're like, how do I paint a white animal? Because there's not really white paint for watercolor. And when you're doing white animals, all you're essentially doing is painting their shadows. That's all it is. So the white part of the horse, we leave white, and we're just painting the shadows to give it form and depth. So I'm gonna start underneath the neck here, and the value that I'm gonna put in is I'm gonna go for something that's kind of like this area. So it's gonna be more water than paint. It's gonna be my kind of a light gray. And so to get a light gray, if you have some black, you're just gonna like pull it away from where that black is and then just add water to it until you get a nice gray going on. Just like that. And then on the outlines here, I'm just gonna go underneath this, the jawbone of the horse. I'm gonna put down my gray. And then I'm just going to get more water on my brush and spread that color down. And you might have to do a couple passes at this. Usually watercolor is all about layering. And like I say with watercolor, because it's transparent and you can't really erase in watercolor, like acrylic you can let it dry and paint over, oil you can paint over it. Watercolor you can't really do that. So it's always a good idea to start off with lighter layers and then just darken them as you go, than to do super dark right off the bat. So I put in my layer. I'm going to do one more layer before I move on. I'm going to do another. And then just use, a lot of the times I put down color and then I just use water to spread that color out. Sunshine asks, how often do you replace the water? When I notice that the water is having an effect on my painting, as in like the color of it is affecting the color I'm trying to lay down, then I'll rinse it. But you can always have like 2 cups by you, and so you can use one to rinse and one to pick up clean water. I don't do that because I really just forget to, and I just like rinsing in clean water, so I never keep a cup clean. But you can just do what works for you. Since this water is mainly gray, it's not really affecting the color of my unicorn shadow, so I'm letting it go. Now, whenever you're doing shadows on something, right where the shadow starts is where it's going to be the darkest, and then it's going to gradually lighten up as it goes. And so what we're painting here is the head is coming out of the body, so it's casting a shadow on the neck. That's why there's this gray shadow coming from underneath the chin. And just by doing that, it's forcing the head of the unicorn to come out at us and the neck to recede. Okay, they're looking great. How are you guys doing over there? It looks great. You're doing awesome.
I had a couple happy little accidents.
Good.
I had one myself.
We love happy accidents here. Okay, so then I'm gonna move on to the nose. Now I'm gonna leave, there's like the circle for the nostril and then kind of a rim around that nostril. I'm gonna leave that alone, and I'm gonna use a darker value, so pretty dark, so almost like just pick up some black. And I'm gonna start on the nose here. So I'm going to put in this black color, and then I'm just going to kind of use my brush and spread out this color. And it's going to kind of go to this line that I kind of have drawn in here. That's how far we're going to go. Now, another thing you want to keep in mind with watercolor is the longer a color stays on the paper without you adding water to it, then it's more likely going to keep like a line where that initial color was. So if you want it to blend out smooth, where there's no hard line from that initial color, then you kind of have to work fast. So if you're noticing that the color you lay down and you wait a really long time to add water and blend that color out, you're going to have a line. So I know it's scary, but try and work fast if you can. That might get you guys out of your comfort zone, but that is okay.
I've been out of my comfort zone since I got here.
Barbara's like, I'm definitely out of my comfort zone.
What comfort zone? Do you ever have one?
We left that long ago.
I left that this morning when I got out of bed.
Me too.
So
My
we're
bed is
surrounding
mine.
the whole nostril with this a little bit.
Yep. And then you're going to use some water. Go ahead and rinse your brush. And then right where you left off, you're going to just spread that color out.
little too wet.
And we want the nose to be pretty dark. So it's okay that we're going a little bit darker right there on the nose.
Mary is bringing in the jokes again.
Mary, yes, bring on the jokes. We love them.
Mary said, question, what did the mythical creature serve at his barbecue?
What did the mythical creature, what?
Unicorn on the cob.
Oh,
Mary,
I like it.
love it, yes. Keenan, you better tell Molly that Mary's coming up with these
I feel
puns.
like Molly is writing some of Mary's down just like as a memory. She didn't have the best pun. Joke.
Very nice. Yep.
Those are the jokes I send to my grandchildren. Especially anybody over 13, 14, 17. They just think you're crazy, but they always text me back, "Oh, Grandma, that was so funny." I mean, it's always the pity text. But they're texting me still.
We have a Facebook group and we have to people have to request to join it, and we ask people to give us a joke when they join it. And it is my favorite thing because all day I'm just getting these jokes and they really make my day. I screenshot my favorite ones. I need to share them on Instagram because some of them are so good. Oh, okay, I got one. I got one. This is one of my favorite. What is brown and sticky?
We're afraid to answer.
A stick.
That's different.
It's so good. That is my favorite
A
one.
little uncomfortable.
No, it's
And that
so
was just a
good. It's so good. Okay, maybe you guys don't love puns the same way I do, and that's okay. That's okay.
Do we do his bottom lip dark too?
I am doing his bottom lip dark.
So how do you catch an antique rabbit?
How do you catch an antique rabbit?
Oh, I know.
How? Wait.
How's that?
You
Jenny knows.
unique up on it.
Unique up.
This is so great.
Why did the toilet paper roll down the hill?
Why?
To get to the bottom.
This is
Oh,
what
I
I'm
got a
talking.
foot- we got a
This
foot
is
tap on that
this
one.
is what I'm talking about, you
It's
guys.
the dog leg that's shaking over
This
here.
is what you get when you come and paint Tuesday nights. Just great quality
I'm starting
jokes.
to feel I just opened the wrong door.
Barbara's just gonna slowly walk out of the room and just be like, I don't belong here. Okay, we're moving on. Sorry, we got sidetracked with the jokes. Okay, we're gonna move on to the nose part, and if you look at the reference photo, which if you don't have our kit or our subscription, you can just look online. We post all of our photos online, and you can kind of see we're gonna do this part of the nose, and we're gonna try and keep that a lighter color. So go back to that kind of same light gray that you use for the neck. And I'm gonna put that in on this kind of middle line, and then I'm gonna kind of spread it down. Now, I kind of put these lines here as a reminder for me of where that should end, like that shadow. But remember, these are guidelines. So if yours goes a little bit longer, that's okay. We basically just want smooth transitions. So if yours, kind of ends before or goes a little bit longer after, don't stress. Also, there's a ton of different kind of unicorns. I was going to say horses, but this is a unicorn.
I wonder if anybody counted how many times.
I don't know.
Just make a post.
We should make a post how many times I accidentally said horse.
I think you counted. You called it a horse 5 times.
I'm pretty sure I did. Well, we're painting a unicorn, and we can make that look however we want.
That's right.
So don't
not
worry.
horses.
That's right. They're not horses. Okay. So, and then I'm going to do this back shadow here. Now, sometimes you could even just use the paint that's already laid down. So I'm going to take from this nose just by using a damp brush and kind of spread that up a little bit. If it's not spreading, then pick up some paint. It's not a big deal. Yep, that looks good. Now, can I show yours just for a second?
Oh, do you have to?
Okay, because I just want to show you that sometimes you can lighten up color if maybe the color was a little bit too dark. And so to do that, you can just put water on an area that you want to lighten up. And then you take your paper towel and you can soak it up. So you can lighten up color if maybe you put a color down and you're like, that's too strong, I didn't want it that dark, which totally happens. It happens to me all the time. You can just take some water, use your paper towel, and just kind of lighten it up. Now, it will come to a point where it won't lighten up anymore, and that's okay, and that's when you just go, that's all right, it's my painting, I can do whatever I want, and I'm fine with it.
Great.
There you go. All right, fabulous, fabulous. Now, we are going to move around the kind of perimeter of this eyeball. So I'm not gonna work on the eyeball or the eyelashes yet. I'm just gonna do this kind of like funky circle around it. And I'm gonna do kind of a medium value on that. So kind of in between the nose and the neck, that kind of dark. And remember, you can always go back and darken it a little bit more. And go around, try and go around the eyelid too. See how there's like this eyelid right here? See if you can just do the top of that. And we'll go back and do the eyelid in the very last step. But if you've painted it already, it's really not a big deal. And then what I'm going to do, because I don't want a hard circle line, so I'm going to take my brush and kind of blend out this right here where my nose shadow meets my eye circle, and try and kind of blend those because I don't want it like I don't want it to seem like a black eye. Okay. That's looking great. That's looking great. Erin, yours is looking great. They're looking really good. Great. I think, oh, let's do a little bit of shadow back here on this back neck, and then we'll move on to the hair. We're almost done with step one. You guys are doing awesome. So kind of where this hairline is meeting this neck, you'll see like these kind of lines right here. I'm just gonna go along with my barely there color, like the very lightest wash I got during my warm-up. And I'm just gonna put a really soft shadow in right where that neck and hair is meeting. Just the softest little hint of it. And we can move these so maybe you guys can see a little bit better as to what I'm doing.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So just a quick little soft shadow.
I was going to say another good example of how these shadows and layering goes was the one we did last week, the Snowy Mountains.
Yes. So if you guys did the Snowy Mountains, first of all, I know that some of you struggled with that one, but I want to say that if you watch the pre-recorded, I taught it a different way during the live, where we layered on our shadows instead of going like trying to kind of blend right away. We layered them instead. We layered our values, and I think people had more success with that way and those steps than in the pre-recorded. So if you wanted to try that one again, or if you just want to like look at how we kind of layer our values in order to create that depth, that's a great project to look at. Keenan, look at you. Good job. Keenan does our video. I don't think I introduced him this time.
I'm just the voice in the box.
He's the voice you hear. He tells me where to look and all of that stuff. Sometimes I fire him if he's making me upset, but he always comes back.
It's become less firing in the past few weeks than it was in the very beginning. I got fired. I think I got fired 3 times in one day.
You did, because I'd be like, Keenan, what did I just say? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, it's literally your job to listen to what I'm saying.
I have nothing else to add.
Okay. So that's looking really good, you guys. Awesome. So we are going to move on to the hair. Yeah. It's beautiful. And if you want to see what we're doing at the very end, we hold them up so you guys can see. So don't worry, you'll be in for a treat when we get to see all of them together.
Okay, you made me swear I wouldn't compare to him.
That's right. We don't hold them up to compare. It's just so we can see how everybody approaches the same project, but they all come out different.
Looking at Erin.
Okay.
Would you say you need a blinder?
We're gonna have like a big folder.
When you put them on actual horses.
Okay, so we are going to start with the hair. We're gonna work our way kind of left to right. And so let's start with our fuchsia color. And remember, this is your unicorn, so you don't have to follow the exact colors we're doing. You don't even have to do rainbow hair. You can do whatever your heart desires. It's your painting. It's your life, so do whatever you want. But I'll just do it this way and you guys can follow along if you would like. So I'm gonna start.
Here, he's over there.
What?
This painting right here.
There we go.
This is ours.
Yes, thank you.
I need to look at him.
Here, Jenny, I'll put that right there. So I'm gonna start with kind of the more fuchsia color, and I'm actually gonna mix a little bit of my orchid, which is the purpley color, in with my pink at the very beginning. And then I'm just gonna start putting in the hair. Now you can go along with the kind of outline I have for you guys, but this is the thing I really want you guys to remember, because sometimes when we think of hair, we just think of it as like long, thin wisps. So this is what you're going to want to do, and this is what your brain is going to tell you to do, okay? Your brain is going to tell you to do this. Okay, because this is how our brain is thinking we see hair. But actually hair is lots and lots of little things put together in chunks. So it's not going to be a lot of thin lines, because the only bad thing with this is that it doesn't give us a lot of three-dimensional form. It just looks pretty flat, like two-dimensional. So what we have to think of hair is we have to think of hair as these kind of chunks that kind of go in and out and around each other, and they're going to be layered and that kind of stuff, and they're gonna go, and we'll go in and put darker values later. We're not gonna worry about that right now. We're just gonna put our colors in first. So that's why they're kind of chunked out like this, where they might look like snakes or something. And then we'll go in and put in our kind of darker values to give it a little bit of form. And also this is an ear right here, and this is also an ear right here. So just keep that in mind. Okay.
Probably not supposed to be orange.
That's okay. Hair can go over ears all the time. So if the hair goes over your ear, that's okay. Don't stress about it. So I started with my mixture of orchid and fuchsia. Now I'm going straight just fuchsia. So just that really nice bright pink. It's kind of going this way. And I just really love this color, so I kind of went crazy with it at the top. There's a bunch of it everywhere. But I'm okay with that. And then also remember that, so usually I like to lay a color down and I don't pick up any more paint. I rinse my brush and do another chunk in that same color but a little bit lighter. And that way we have a difference in value. And whenever you have a difference in value, it's gonna give it form. So don't be afraid to lighten up your paint and have some lighter sections and some darker sections.
Mine's looking like it's all one color though.
Okay, so it looks like here, I'm gonna put yours to the center if that's okay. Oh, so that's looking good. What I would just say is I'm actually just gonna use some water and use that water to kind of spread it out a little bit. So there we go. So this is the shape we kind of want to keep in mind when we're doing our hair, is kind of like this kind of curved shape, almost like wavy, long, luxurious hair. Yeah. And then, and it could be that your colors just kind of mixed a little bit on your palette. Okay, now, so I did my fuchsia. Now I'm gonna pick more up of the orchid, which is that purpley color, and I'm gonna start putting that in kind of on this side. And mine kind of all got mixed together, so I'm gonna do another pile. And there's paints right here if you guys run out of a color or it gets contaminated with other colors. You can just put a fresh little clean pile on your palette. That was blue. Sorry. I'm like, wait a second, that is not the color I want. Okay, so there's some orchid. Okay.
Oh, I just went into his ear.
That's okay. Hair goes in front of ear all the time. Not a big deal.
I was so careful with the first ear.
Especially on men as they get older.
Yeah?
Well, less on than
Is that
in.
something I get to look forward to?
Keenan, your future.
So here's the deal about going bald. Men don't actually go bald. It just grows in and comes out other places. Like
Gets sucks and
You have
spreads.
a man who's my husband's never had hair on his back. Now he has a little patch. And he's bald on the top, so I figured it's just coming out here. That's my theory. It could work, right?
Okay.
Ron really wanted everyone to know that.
I'm really glad.
I'm sorry.
Ron is
honey.
probably so happy
I'm
you
sorry.
shared that information with everybody watching.
Please forgive me. Didn't mean to.
It's okay. It won't be on the internet forever.
They shouldn't let me out in public.
Okay, so now I have my purple, and instead of going straight from purple to blue, I want it to transition a little bit. So I'm going to grab a little bit of my blue and mix it in with my purple over here, so it
wild
turns
woman.
I like to live on the edge.
She is living on the edge.
Oh, I have my mug right there, living on the edge. I like to just mix colors and drop them in. So now I have more of a blue purple. It's not quite blue.
Blurple.
Blurple. That's the technical term, actually. So thank you. Thanks for that.
I do what I can.
I went teal.
That's okay.
And rather darkly so.
That's okay. But you just want to think of the rainbow and think of it like a circle. So you kind of want the colors that are next to each other to blend in as you kind of go across your unicorn. Again, this is your painting and maybe you don't like the colors to blend nicely right next to each other. That's okay. You can do whatever you want. So I kind of have this, and you can just keep on mixing in a little bit at a time. Gina just said, Sarah, horn to be wild. That was a good one.
I like it.
Okay, so my purple is, you know, kind of transitioning more and more blue. Now I'm gonna go straight to blue.
Oh, I get it. It's a rainbow.
I said something very similar in the tutorial.
Did you? What did you say?
Because you're like, I'm using the rainbow, you're saying something about it all being rainbow colored, but you phrased it like we didn't know you were doing rainbow unicorn. Ah!
You're like, oh great,
That's
thanks.
what that color
Thanks for
is.
clearing that up. Rainbow.
Huh.
Okay, so I have my blues, and don't forget to do a couple light blues in there too. Add some water to your brush to get that lighter blue color. Because in watercolor, we don't add white paint to make a color lighter, we add water. And that's how you get that light color in there, because it just makes the white of the paper show through more.
Moi.
More. And that's what we like to see. And I liked, and you can go as crazy as you want with your hair.
I decided what I'm doing next. Mine looks just like really clumpy.
I would just maybe add a little bit of water, blend some of this out. Get a lighter blue, and then I would maybe add a little bit of green and have it transition to the green, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to mix a little bit of yellow into my blue, and I'm going to come up with like this blue-green. If you want it more of a blue-green than green, have more blue in the mixture. And remember, you can always keep your scratch paper handy. So if you want to test a color before you put it on your painting, that is always an option. Sometimes I don't do that, but you feel free to. You're like, great, wonderful. Thanks for leading me astray.
Told me that yes, because that does blend much nicer.
Yeah, yeah, that looks really nice. Okay, and so you just kind of keep on mixing in more and more yellow until it turns into more of a green. And so your palettes, they're gonna get messy and they're gonna get crazy, and that is okay. Don't stress about it.
Sarah, on YouTube there's a question.
Yes.
Coco, first she says, I put a mix of fuchsia and orchid, and when I put it on the paper, it is super speckly and spotty. But then she says that it's all the bright colors she's putting down, and then she apologizes for spam. She's just confused.
So just all of her colors are speckly?
Yes, so she said, wait, all of the bright colors I'm putting down are spotty and speckled.
So by spotty, is there like flakes in it, like dark flakes? Because I'm wondering if maybe the paint got a little bit funky in the bottles.
With
If-
the
I'm not
cold,
sure.
it sure could have.
Yeah, it could have. So if that's what's happening to your paint, just email us at hello@letsmakeart. We can send you new paint. But I actually had a customer email me about that. They had some like dark specks in their paint, and that shouldn't be how the paint comes. And so we can always send you a replacement.
Well, shake it good too.
Yeah, try shaking it, see if that helps. So, okay, so I have some good green going on here, and now I'm gonna try and get some good yellow, because hopefully it transitioned to that green, and then I'm gonna start putting in some nice bright yellow. And every time I paint this unicorn, I do the hair different, so if you are doing this again, your hair might be turning different than your first time. That's okay. I never let that bother me. Because you mix, like we mix colors so much that it's gonna be different every time, and I think that's the fun thing with watercolor. Okay.
So you're wanting this to look kind of tangly.
Yes, it's like wild hair.
Me in the morning.
Red hair.
Okay, so I have my yellow. I have some pure yellow, and now I'm gonna mix my yellow with the fuchsia to get kind of an orange. Now, the thing you wanna keep in mind as we're mixing so many different colors on our palette, that if another color touches it, for example, if some green touches my orange, it's gonna turn muddy. If some blue touches my orange, it's gonna turn muddy. So maybe the thing you gotta keep in mind is like when you're mixing colors, you don't really want them to touch any other colors that aren't part of that mixture, because it will give them a different color. So I'm putting in this like peachy orange, and then I like it when it kind of ends on that fuchsia or red note. And then what you can do, can I take yours here to the middle? So we have some great transition in colors from the blue to the green to the yellow. That is gorgeous right here. Now we do kind of a strong line from where this yellow and this pink mixes, and if that happens to you, it's not a big deal. You can just take this color and spread it a little bit, and it will automatically mix right there in front of you. And that way you get a smoother transition. So if you put two colors next, so the pink and the yellow are kind of our primary colors, you put them next to each other and you kind of mix them in the middle, you're gonna get this orange, and now it's a smooth transition and no longer like a hard line.
That hair is on fire.
It's looking so good.
That is so
I feel
cool.
like yours is way more rainbowy than mine, and I'm loving it.
And here I'm thinking, and here I am thinking, you know, I was better with crayons, but it's solid.
And the other thing I want you guys to keep in mind too, as you're like, if you're learning watercolor, is the more you paint, I think the more you do anything, the more you're okay with making mistakes. Because for me, as someone who paints every day, every single painting I make a mistake, but I don't let it bother me because I know it's inevitable, and I just kind of figure out ways to either hide it or kind of mix it, or I just keep in mind that it's just paint and paper. So if I really don't like it, it can go in the trash and nobody will know. It's not a big deal. So don't be intimidated by it.
Except you're putting this out on the internet, so everyone
Well, everyone will know mine.
The other thing
That's
about
true.
it though, is that if you are really not very happy with it, but you set it on the sideboard, when you get
Yes.
up in the morning, you're like, oh, well that does look like a fish, I guess.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it just
Yes.
like totally, you're like, are more forgiving of yourself, I think, a little bit later.
Yeah, you are. Because when you're painting, you're so like close to it that sometimes you need to put it far away to look at it. And that actually happened to Keenan last
It did,
week.
I was just gonna say.
He tried to do the mountains, and he told me halfway through the tutorial, got so frustrated that he stopped, and then he was just like, you have to see how terrible my mountains are. And he pulled them out, and he's like, actually. he's like, no, he's like, this one can't be mine, this is Brock's. And
Yeah.
Brock's like, no, that one is yours. Your warm-up is on it. And Keenan's like, oh, well that doesn't look that bad.
It's just really true. It's really true.
It's true. So if you're getting really
And when you
frustrated,
consider
walk
it's the
away.
Very first time you ever painted a mountain.
It's true.
You know, you just have to give yourself a little room to grow.
A little, yeah, just a little bit of forgiveness and a little bit of, it's not a big deal, you know? Okay. So you just kind of want to go all the way. I had my hair go off of my page. It's feeling kind of wild and tangled, and wind is blowing it gorgeously. And we're gonna give that a break, and we're gonna move on to the horn, and then we're gonna move on to step 3. So we're like almost halfway done with this painting. You guys are doing an awesome job. Now for the horn, you can do the horn however you like. I kept mine gray, like kind of in line with the color of my horse. So for that, but I've seen somebody do the rainbow horn. Yes, and it looks great. So if you guys want to do a colorful horn, totally up to you. But I'm just going to get my light gray, and I'm going to start with putting it in the middle of my horn. And when I do this, I'm not going to go straight up and down, because when you're painting a form, you kind of want to go as if you're painting on the thing itself. So I'm kind of going to do these like curved lines that kind of go up the middle. So I'm kind of painting more horizontally instead of just going straight up and down. And then I'm going to rinse my brush and fill in the sides here. And the reason why we want it a little bit darker in the middle is because we want to give the idea that it's round. So to do that, to either make something have form, you either give shadows on the sides and leave a highlight in the middle, or you do the opposite. You have the shadow in the middle and do the highlights on the side. Both will have the same effect, which is it's going to make it seem three-dimensional. Now, because this is a really light gray, I'm not going too crazy with it because I don't want the horn to seem like black. It's really just a soft gray. And I'm going to do one more layer in the middle. There were some people that used gold paint on this.
Or glitter.
They did a gold horn. Well, I don't think anybody's going to do glitter once you... What did he say? Okay. So that's just it. It's just really just a soft little wash. Give it a little bit of shape. Yeah, very nice. And you can also do, like some people have done, because you know how you've seen, you know when you see unicorns, and they kind of have like a spiral on the horn a little bit?
I'm hanging out in the wrong places.
You're like, where do I go to see this? Hamilton, Missouri, that's where you go.
That's right. There are unicorns everywhere.
Unicorns everywhere here, come take a look. So, but there are horns where it's kind of more like chunked like this. So it's almost like, have you seen maybe those lollipops? Kind of like where it's kind of spiraled up. So you can do it that way too. It's kind of like a seashell or something, where you just are going to kind of do these curved lines that just get thinner as they go up until it gets to a point. So that's a cool way to do it too.
Oops.
Yeah, see if you can use your paper towel. Okay, I have another magic trick. Do you guys want to see?
Yes.
Barb, let me see your painting.
Why is it always here?
Because you're sitting right next to me, so I get to pick on you. Can I have that magic eraser? Okay, this is a Mr. Clean magic eraser, okay? You always want to keep these handy in case you like make a mark or get a splatter on your page. You're going to pick up some clean water on it just a little bit. And then where that spot is, you're just going to gently rub. And try not to get the wet paint that's right next to it. And it will pick up that paint
That's pretty handy.
to where it's like not, like you can't even tell. But don't rub hard. If you rub really hard, your paper will disintegrate. So it's a really soft rub, and you want to use clean water. If you use the colored water, then it will transfer the color of your water onto your paper. Just a little trick for you guys. Here's that if you want to use it. Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a side note.
Yes, side note, love it.
Bridget on YouTube said, I can't stop myself. I broke out the gold glitter paint.
Yes!
You got it, Bridget.
We love that gold glitter paint. Okay. And sometimes just doing gold glitter detailing actually makes it look really polished and finished. I love it. So, Okay, now we're going to move on to step 4. We are more than halfway done with this painting, you guys. How are you feeling so far?
Fantastic.
Barb?
I'm good.
Are you having fun? Say you're having fun.
It's pretty good. Pretty good deal.
Jenny, oh, I love your hair.
In Hamilton, Missouri.
Oh, her
does
hair is
that happen?
great.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, it's
hair-
magical here.
hair
It
is
is.
great.
Put it
Well,
this
thank
way,
you.
I've never had this happen before. Only in Hamilton.
Well, in Hamilton, Missouri, there's unicorns and there's just paintings and quiltings all around.
Just
So,
walking down the street, people grab you and say, hey, come here and do this.
okay, so we're going to move on to step 4, which is we're going to go back to our hair. And really what we're going to do with going back to our hair is we're going to put in some darker values just to give it a little bit of depth and a little bit of that thin detailing hair. So if you look at our examples here, you'll see that there's some thin little details that kind of are going like wisping away, like those individual hairs that kind of like get in your face and all of that stuff. We're going to put that in, and then we have some darker values in between here that we're going to put in also. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of mine, and if you need more paint, feel free to put a little bit more on. Ours turned into kind of a muddy mess right here in that corner.
I'm wondering about this right here too. Do I fill
might
this
need
up
new
with
yellow.
hair?
What I would do is I would just use some water and do like a light wash behind there too. That's what I'll do with mine also.
Some of that. That isn't
Whatever it is.
Okay, so I'm going in with my fuchsia.
I was thinking it's huge.
Or that.
I can't even get this open.
It's child-proof, so you have to push down on it.
So we need a 5-year.
Sorry, they're difficult lids. I didn't mean to say like because they're child-proof. Sorry about that. Let me help you. Let me just. There you go.
I'm a few decades too old to be able to open.
Okay, and if you can also mix in a little bit more of that purple to get a darker pink, and we're gonna follow that same kind of curved shape, and we're gonna put in a little bit of darker color, just kind of like in between some places right there. And this entire time I've been using the round 6. We haven't moved to our round 2 yet, so I'm just using my 6, and I'm putting in these kind of dark curves. Now when I put in these dark lines, they're not going to go from the top of the mane all the way to the paper. It's going to be more like a section that is shadowed. So for my like dark blue that I'm putting in over here, I'm just going to put it in right here. So you see how it's kind of more just in the middle and it's not going from here to here. It's just kind of little hints here and there of a dark color. So kind of just make your way, and you're just going to do a little bit of shadow here and there. Don't feel like you have to go across and do these dark lines across the entire thing, because that's not really how we would see the hair in real life. We would just see these sections of shadow that are underneath from the chunks that are layered. So now I'm going to use this like dark green, put a little bit of shadow here. I think I'll switch over to the orange. Now the thing with yellow is it's naturally a light color anyway, the yellow. So I'm not really going to worry too much about having like a shadow on the yellow, because I probably wouldn't get that much difference in value. Yeah, very nice.
Somewhere along the line we've lost green completely.
It's a little more.
There you go, yeah. Just mix that blue and yellow to get green.
A little more yellow.
It's a photographer's eye. You get the color a lot better.
Okay. Now I went in, I put in my kind of darker areas, and now I'm gonna switch to my 2. And I know some of you might not be done, so don't stress. You can either just ignore me or come back to the shadows. And we are going to put in the thinner lines. So you're just going to, now remember when you go along, you wanna make sure that whatever color you're using is matching the hair that you're putting the hair around. So I'm gonna start with my fuchsia, and I'm just going to do a couple little thin lines kind of coming off. Almost as if some little thin wispies got away.
I remember what color this was.
And then even when we get to like the mane here, you kind of want it a couple to come off onto the neck too. And you can go as detailed with this as you want. In some sections I even just did pure like thin lines over like the light washes, just to give it a little bit of shape, but you don't have to do that, or you can do that across the entire thing. Totally up to you. Yes. You can tell we're all focusing. It's quiet. How are you guys doing out there?
Mary brought in another joke.
I'm ready. I love Mary's jokes.
Okay. Mary's joke question. Why do unicorns like silly jokes?
Why?
Because they're unicorny.
I just love the surprise. It's like so simple, but it's just you don't know what it is. Mary, thank you. I'm just gonna I'm gonna keep a book of all of these jokes. We're gonna sell it on Let's Make Art.
Why can't unicorns play basketball in the jungle?
Why?
There's too many cheetahs.
Jenny, you are now invited on every single week. Come on with those. That's why I love having Molly on. Her puns are so funny. Sometimes I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
They just surprise me.
I know. Molly is
She's so great. Okay, so I didn't want to go too crazy with my detail. It's just a little bit here and there. But again, this is your painting. So if you really like that look and you want to keep on going with it, then do it. You totally can. It's your creation that you're making here. So I'm good with my hair. So I'm going to move on to our very last step, which is we're going to go back. We're going to do a couple more layerings on our shadows, and then we're going to do our detail part, which is always our eyes. Eyes, you do the very last step, which with animals is sometimes hard because let me tell you, some animals look way funky without their eyeballs. And so sometimes you get frustrated and you want to give up. But I'm telling you, you just have to stick through it, especially with animals, because it's just a process. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my ears on my unicorn. So I'm going to start with filling in the center, which is this black color here, this blob. And that's because the reason why it's so dark is because the ear goes all the way through to our insides, so it gets darker the farther something is away from you. So that's why like the nostril and the ear, those are going to be some of the darker values because it's going farther away from us.
If any quotes should be saved.
I don't even know what I said. If I'm being honest, I don't even know what I said.
Our ears go inside of you.
That's why they're darker.
Yeah, they're darker.
Because
Which
they
makes
like
no-
it.
That's
that makes
clear,
sense.
right? You
That's
guys.
very clear.
Yes.
I got that.
Great, great. Glad we're all on the same page. Okay. And then I'm going to do the tip of the ear like a dark gray. Now try and be careful not to touch that very center that you just put in, because then that black, that dark black, is going to bleed everywhere. Again, if it happens to you, don't freak out. I just did it right there and I'm not even mad. It kind of has this really cool texture. So sometimes watercolor and paint have a mind of their own. They're gonna wanna like touch and move and blend, and sometimes the best thing is just to let them, because they can do some really cool things. You just kind of have to learn to give up control a little bit.
I think we just came up on my problem.
Yeah, sometimes watercolor is hard if you're used to being able to control everything. Okay, now I'm gonna do the other ear. The other ear, since it's kind of like just a portion of it, is just going to be this kind of gray color here. So I'm just filling in with gray, and then what you can do is, while it's wet, you can put in a little bit of black in the center, just like that, and it's going to just bleed and move on its own, and that's kind of cool, and you just let it do its thing.
Because the black goes inside.
Because the black goes inside our ear, or head, our cells.
Perfect, Sarah.
Okay, so I did my ear. Now I'm going to move to the nostril. So I'm going to make, so with nostrils themselves, they kind of have like I feel like I got to be careful what I'm going to say. I got to make sure it makes sense.
It's gonna get dark as it goes inside.
It's gonna get dark. Okay, so if you look at nostrils up close, which I'm sure you do on a regular basis, it's actually really dark in one part, and then it slowly transitions out into a little bit lighter because, how do I explain that? So it's the part of your nose that you're gonna see a little bit more. So like, let's just work on the horse, and maybe I'll stop pointing to my own nose here. I mean the unicorn. Okay.
Okay, neither Aaron nor I can open the book.
There you go.
Oh my God. So lame.
No, I'm used to this. I literally do this every week. Okay. So on the back part of the nostril right here, if you look at the reference photo, it's more dark on the left-hand side, and then it gets a little bit lighter on the right-hand side. And that is because it's transitioning out of, coming from inside our, you guys get what I'm saying.
That was close.
You guys get it, you guys get it. So put the black part on the left-hand side. If you make the entire hole pure black, that's fine too. It's not a big enough deal. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of water along the edge here to lighten it up just a little bit. So then there's a slight transition in value in the nostril itself, which is true to people and animals and unicorns.
It's just where more light is exposed.
It's where more light is exposed. Thank you, Keenan. I feel like I said it really clear, but
You did. You did.
thank you for that. And I'm actually going to do another layer here of dark right on the nose. I just wanted to darken it up a little bit on the, not the nostril, the nose. If your nose is already dark enough, then you don't have to do this part. So look at your painting and decide. It's totally up to you. And then what you can do too is, if you are too heavy water, you can actually lift up color while it's still wet like that.
Ah, cool.
So now you have like a nice transition
Well,
from
was
that
an
dark to
easier way
light.
to do that.
And we're gonna let that dry for a second before we paint the rim of the nostril. Because if we try to paint the rim of the nostril right now while our nostril is super black and wet, then that super black part would bleed everywhere and we wouldn't have that nice circle that we want to keep its shape to. So you just move on to another area while we let that dry. So I am going to work on my other eyeball, my back eyeball, and since the unicorn's head is turning away from us, we're only getting a peek of that eyeball. We're really just showing that it's there. It doesn't have to be super detailed. It's just going to be kind of a light gray around the rim here. And then if you want to move to your round 2, since it's smaller, we're going to just put in the little eyelashes and the circle of the eye. So it goes light gray and then black eyelashes and black eye. And remember, you don't have to spend too much time on this because nobody actually really pays attention to that eye. Sometimes you just have to give the hint that something is there, and that is enough for our brains to comprehend what's going on, that we're just going to be like, oh, that's an eyeball, and move on. Okay, now I'm going to put in my mouth line. If you can still see your line, you can kind of put that in. Now this is where if you painted over it, not a big deal, it doesn't matter. This is where our unicorns are going to get personality, when we paint the mouths and the eyeballs. And it's kind of fun because then you get to name it, and it's going to have its own attitude, and it makes it pretty cool because it makes it your own. And then you can blend that out just a little bit if you don't like that hard line, just taking water and blending, softly blending it out. If you want to make it smile, you just make that line kind of go up instead of down. And then I'm going to put in a soft shadow kind of where it's meeting that hair, just on the forehead right there. Just kind of blend that softly out. You might get some pink in there, that's okay.
Does that look like an eye?
Let me see this. Yes, it does, it does. I'm just going to put in the bottom part of your eye.
Do not tell anybody at work that this.
There you go. Now it's an eye.
You're going to link it, aren't you?
There's video evidence of you doing this.
You know you have to work with me every day.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the other part, the main eye of the unicorn, but there's a couple of things that I want you guys to notice before we start on this. One of them, or can we go on the close-up camera for this? Okay, can they see that eyeball?
Make sure it looks good.
Okay, so one thing I want you to keep in mind is there is a white area right underneath that black eyeball, and that's the eyelid of the eye. So we kind of want to, and I'll show you right here, see that really thin line right here? And right there, that's the eyelid. So we want to keep that a light color. So either leave it white or have it be a light gray. But if you leave it too thick, it's going to look like the white part of an eyeball, and it's going to look like your unicorn is looking up. So if that is happening to you, then thin that line out.
And then he's a teenager unicorn.
It is a teenager unicorn.
Rolling his eyes.
Okay, the other thing I want you guys to pay attention to is there's a little white dot in the eyeball. There's a little circle there. Leave that white. That's the glare of the eyeball, because eyeballs are wet, so they're going to have a glare on them. And then the other part that I want you to keep in mind is if you're looking at this eyelid right here, and I'll show you right here too. So here's your eyelid. The back part of the eyelid is a lighter color. It's white. So it goes from white to gray to like a darker gray, because the eyelashes and the eyeball are black, and so is this part, and we just want to be able to have slight differences so it doesn't all look like one huge eye. Does that make sense? So if you look here, there's like that little white edge here on the eyelid. So try and keep that there, and let's just go for it. Now that I've probably freaked you out by saying pay attention to all of these things. Okay, so I'm going to start with the black part of the eyeball first. And I'm using my round 2. And I'm not going to talk because I'm focusing. So right now, my unicorn looks a little bit sleepy, but that's just because I haven't put in the eyelashes in yet. And now I'm gonna kind of put in the eyelashes. So this kind of black line goes up and over. And I'm gonna take my brush and put in, I'm gonna do this kind of motion with my lashes. It's like a that kind of thing. And our eyelashes are black, so it's gonna run into the black part of our eye, and that is okay.
So do I need to paint this part black too?
So what I did is after I put in my eyelashes, is it okay if I paint on yours?
Mm-hmm.
So I put in my eyelashes, and you want these lines connecting. And then I just take a little swoop in the water and dampen it and then fill it up. So it's like a gray. So the top part of the eyelashes is kind of a gray, and then they're gonna kind of like flutter out like that. Okay.
I'm happy with that.
Yes, it looks good.
And it makes this one look better.
Okay, and then I'm gonna go in and make the eyelid a little bit darker. So I'm gonna do another little run on that. So the base of the eyelid, kind of where it meets this corner of the eye, it's gonna be more of a dark gray. And you can go all the way to that black part of your eyeball. And then as it goes up and around the eyelid, it's going to lighten. And the reason why it's doing that is because, and it's the same for people, if you look at their eyelids, they're a lighter color than what's behind them. And that's because the eyeball underneath your eyelid is making that skin poke out, which means it's gonna be a lighter value. And so we're just gonna give it a lighter color, and that's what's gonna make it pop and make the back part recede where the eye socket is. And this, usually there's shadows around the eye sockets of just about every animal. I didn't want to like definitively say everything because I don't know everything.
Probably a good choice.
If there's one thing I learned, it's that I don't know a lot of things. And that's because the sockets themselves are skull. There's no skull or bone underneath to kind of give it that structure, so it just kind of goes in and has depth. But remember to try and keep that thin white line for that eyelid. Now my line kind of got compromised here and I lost a little piece of it, but that's okay. You can still see the top, you can see the back. That's enough for me.
So you're talking about down here?
Mm-hmm. So when you go to fill this in, I'm gonna leave you a little bit of a thin white line here. And that's gonna be your eyelid. And then you're gonna color the rest of this gray. Okay, and now is the time. Actually, let's do the nostril ring first before we do that. So this little nostril ring that's going on here, this is just gonna be used, I'm just gonna fill this up using a light gray. So you can either use the black that's already on around your nose and use that color and spread it to fill in that kind of nostril ring, or you can pick up some light gray on your brush. But we basically just want that nostril ring to be lighter than what's underneath it because we want it to stick out a little bit more. Yes, very nice. And then make sure that nostril itself is dark. And don't forget your other nostril. It kind of just sticks out a little bit. It has a little bit of that black center.
Okay, I kind of missed the whole, I was busy finishing off the eye.
Yeah, sorry, I was just moving on.
Yep, so.
I just made that a light gray color. That kind of ring around it. Okay, I think we filled in all of our areas, and now this is where it's a great idea, and we're not really going to do it here because we don't have that luxury, but if you're at home, take your painting, put it on the table, or kind of put it up and walk away from it across the room and then look at it. And then when you look at a piece of artwork far away, then things stick out to you a little bit more, general shapes, colors, that kind of things. And sometimes you can't really see your painting until it's far away from you, because it's hard to be so close to something for so long and see the entire picture. So take a moment, step away from it, and then you can adjust. Because sometimes when you put something away, you go, you know what, that neck kind of gets lost. So I need to take a look at that and make sure that it's dark enough, or you know, that kind of thing. So take a second, the very last step, just look at something far away. Keenan, can you do a close-up? Can you put the close-up on the eyeball? And I might put a little bit more shadow in here where my hair is. You don't have to do this. Remember, everything I'm doing on mine, you don't have to do on yours, because it might not apply to you. So just kind of just look at it.
Very close up on the eye.
Okay.
Where do you see it on there? Where do they see the eye?
This is a little delayed.
Oh, I see.
Okay, I'm looking at mine. Nothing's bothering me. That's so beautiful.
I feel like this might, like this, yours has like a real dark line right there. The jowl, and I came out too far on mine. So is there
Let me see.
anything I can do on that?
You could take maybe a magic eraser, or you can just extend the neck. So instead of the neck ending there, the neck would then end there where that shadow is. So it's up to you. I honestly didn't even notice that until you pointed it out.
So you don't think I need to like make that neckline darker? Or?
Well, the only thing that I think is bothering me about the neckline on yours is I feel like
Thick.
I feel like it's just that line is strong, and I want it to blend a little bit more. So I'm going to take my gray and just try and create a smoother transition. There we go. Now sometimes because that line was there for so long, I couldn't blend it out. So I just took like another, like a
Made another shade in
made
between.
another shade in between to smooth it out. There you go.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
That's looking really nice.
I think I need to
Yes.
put your hair across his eye there.
Yes, I would take, yeah, just right coming on along that other side. Okay, we are getting close to holding them up, so put in your finishing touches.
Wait, we have to show these?
Yes, we
You
do.
didn't tell me that.
I didn't tell you that on purpose. No, I'm just kidding.
There's no disclaimer at the door.
Well, the reason why I encourage people to share their art, no matter where they are, is because I want to get rid of the idea that you only share art when it's perfect, because then that makes other people, everybody think that you can only be good if it's perfect the first time right from the beginning, and that is simply not true. Me especially, like I usually post paintings that I've worked on and had to do multiple drafts of. Sometimes we don't always share every single draft. And I just want you guys to get used to sharing your artwork too. It's scary, it's so scary, and it is a really vulnerable spot to be, but it's so good to show other people that you created this and you did this. And when other people see that you're vulnerable, they want to be vulnerable too, and it gives them the confidence to try something maybe they wouldn't have. So it is scary, but it's for the greater good, you guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people are so kind.
They are. Sometimes when I first started posting my artwork, I thought like, oh no, like who knows what people are going to say. And the years that I've been doing this, even from the beginning, not one person has ever said, that looks bad, ever. We're afraid that people are going to do that, but for the most part, they don't. And we have a wonderful Facebook group called Let's Make Art Together, so maybe if you don't want to put it on your personal feed, you can share it there, and it's a community where we totally understand that we're supportive and encouraging of each other. So maybe that's where you start, and that is a great place to start because it's a wonderful place. Okay. You ready to show them?
As ready as my.
As ready as you'll ever be. Great. Okay. So we're going to hold it up to Keenan on the side here, and he is going to kind of slow pan across all of them, and we can take a look.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Yes.
Slow pan. We'll start with Jenny. Hold that up for me, Jenny. That looks great. That is nice. Sarah, there it is.
Kale, move.
Barb.
Do I have to be after Sarah?
You're all over it. There it is.
Look at his horn. Oh my gosh, you made yours yellow. I love it. The gold.
Yellow, gold.
Gold. I think it's
Excellent.
gold. You guys, good job.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody.
Absolutely.
Good job. They look great. And so if you painted this, share it. Again, I know it's scary, but you can do it. You can do hard things. And maybe you'll find a friend who's like, that's really cool. Do you want to paint with me every week? And you say, yes, I know the perfect place where we can watch to paint every week. So if you're on Let's Make Art, or I'm sorry, if you're on Instagram, you could tag us in it. Let's Go Make Art is our Instagram name. Facebook is the same, or our Facebook group, Let's Make Art Together. You do have to ask to be a part of that group, but I approve everybody pretty much.
If you have a joke.
If you have a joke, or if you're nice.
Give a poor joke.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Now, our schedule is going to be a little bit different this week. So we're not releasing the pre-recorded jellyfish tutorial tomorrow. That's mainly because we're still working on shipping out those February boxes. If you're a subscriber, you got an email explaining what's going on. But just in case, we had problems just getting these bottles, but they're coming to us. We'll get those out. So what we're doing for our next painting is we are going to do our Let's Make Art Matter postcard, which is going to be this Friday at 12 o'clock. We're going to do a live painting, and this is what we're painting here. We're using the same outline for our unicorn as this, and we'll put, I'll put a link on our website where you can get the 4x6 outline if you guys don't know how to do that at home, and you can just print it. And we turned it into a horse instead of a unicorn. And
I've seen one of those.
yes, we've seen these. So if you don't know what Let's Make Art Matter is, if you're a subscriber in our subscription box, we put in a postcard that's pre-stamped and pre-addressed, and we all paint a postcard and we send it to a different individual or family or just somebody who needs a little extra love that month. So it's really fun. It's my favorite part of the box, and if you aren't a subscriber and you still want to do this, ask us for the address. We'll send it to you. And this week it's going, or this month it's going to Lyndon, who is a little girl who's super sweet, and she has the, I'm forgetting the exact name of it, but she has sensory issues, so her senses are heightened. So everyday activities are really overwhelming for her, and it's really exhausting. And so we just want to show her that she's awesome and she's a rock star, and just giving her a little bit of painted postcard love. So that's what we're doing Friday at noon. After Friday, that's when we will release the jellyfish tutorial, the pre-recorded one, so you guys can paint that and get that started.
It's awesome.
I think that's all.
I love the matter part.
I think that's
Me
it.
too. Okay, so thank you guys so much for painting with me. I had so much fun. Even if you didn't like your painting, hopefully you just had a good time, because that's what it's all about. Yeah. So I think that's it, right?
Yep.
Okay, bye you guys. Bye.